Hey guys, Sean here with Butler Branding, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to lay out a professional website. I think this is going to be a really helpful resource for you guys. Also, stick around to the end of the video after the end credit scene because I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that our design fulfillment team uses to help design professional looking websites. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you're a business, there's really three things you need to be perceived as legitimate and not fly by night. And that's a logo, which is like a brand identification mark, a business card that you can hand out, and a website. If you don't have those three things, then you're seen as either unprofessional or you don't really have your stuff together. And also the way those things look are a huge influencer on how your brand is perceived to your audience. And so today I'm going to be focusing on the website aspect. Now, before we get too much into the details, I want to talk about three what I call universal negatives. And by universal negatives, I mean these are three things that everybody should avoid when it comes to designing or laying out their website. And the first thing is, don't overthink it. What I mean by don't overthink it is a lot of businesses get caught up in paralysis by analysis. They're overthinking the process of how to design their website, what all content should they put on there, and then they have all the different pages they think they need to go on there and all the content that needs to go on each page and all the pictures, and they get caught up in just this cycle of paralysis, and they're overthinking it. You have to understand that when you design your website, especially if it's your first website, you're going to go through several iterations. You're always going to be adding content, you're going to be revising it, and eventually you're going to do a full-blown redesign. It's just the nature of the beast. And so sometimes getting the perfect website is holding you back from having a really good website that you can update, tweak, and then ultimately revise down the road. So don't overthink it. And another thing is when you overthink it, it usually takes a really long time to build your website. So by the time you launch it, if there are any kind of necessary revisions or edits or maybe a redesign needed, you're already so emotionally attached to it that it's actually going to hold you back from wanting to redesign it. You know, I've seen this all the time. I already spent so much time and so much money in our website redesign that I don't want to do it again. And the problem was in the first place they shouldn't have overthought it. It doesn't mean don't think about it. So like, you know, videos like this and other resources that are available to you, you want to study it out and you want to have a game plan, which is what I hope to give you today, but don't overthink it. The second thing is nobody cares. Now, what I mean by nobody cares is I think a lot of businesses want to give a doctoral dissertation about all their services and the historical background of their company and all the minute details about all the products and services. The fact is, nobody cares. 55% of people spend less than 15 seconds on your website. Industry standards are supposed to be about 2 minutes, which you can do a lot in 2 minutes. You can see what the brand is. You can see what benefits they have for your life. You could see what calls to action they might have, and you might take advantage of an offer or read a little bit, but you're not going to read a 15-page essay on why this brand is the right choice for you. Save the articles for the blog. And I think every website should have a blog, by the way. So nobody cares. Keep it short, keep it simple. Some things that you do want to have is a clear value proposition, a couple of features and benefits. So features are what you actually do. The benefits is how it makes your audience's lives better. You want to have a clear call to action, and again, save the articles for the blog. And then the third thing is don't be cute. And what I mean by cute is don't be poetic in your language. Clarity is more important. A lot of times people have this industry-specific jargon, which the audience doesn't really relate to. Use common language, use everyday words, and be as clear as you could possibly be. Don't try to be cute, because the fact of the matter is you have about 3 to 5 seconds of your audience's attention upon initial entry of the website for them to connect with your brand. And so you want to tell them who you are, what you do, how you make their lives better, and how they should be able to take advantage of your offer or whatever it is you do. And I stole this Donald Miller from StoryBrand. If you go to storybrand.com, they have a free video mini series on how to clarify your brand positioning statement, and you should definitely go check it out. But in those videos, he talks about two things. He talks about the Grunt Test and the curse of knowledge. So the Grunt Test is, if you were to look at a website, and try this with if you already have a website or a brand that you like or maybe don't like, just go to a few different websites, go to a competitor's website and do this Grunt Test. The Grunt Test is where if you were to have a laptop and on the laptop was the website that you're looking at, and you were to have it closed and then open it, and you only have 3 to 5 seconds to look at this website, and then you close the laptop, right? So you only have 3 to 5 seconds upon initial entry of this website. Do you know who that brand is? Do you know what they do? Do you know how they promise to make your life better, or how to take advantage of what they offer? If you don't, then that brand has failed the Grunt test, okay? He also talks about the curse of knowledge. And I've been guilty of this, and this is why we're always refining and tweaking and updating our website and our messaging, is because if you're a brand, your knowledge of your product or your service is at a 10. You know everything about what you do. Your audience, usually they're either at a 0 or maybe a 1, right? So they don't really know anything about your brand. And so what we do is we say, okay, here's our knowledge at the 10. Here's our users' knowledge, maybe right here. We're gonna dumb it down a little bit. But what we do is we explain our products and our services maybe at like a level 7, okay? But again, we need to be speaking over here in the 1 to 2 area. And this gap is the curse of knowledge. The gap between your understanding or your attempt of explaining and your customer's understanding or your user's understanding, this gap is the curse of knowledge. And so you try to, you wanna make sure that you, again, don't be cute, don't use industry-specific language, be as clear, concise, to the point as possible. Okay, so those are the 3 universal negatives that I think everybody needs to avoid. The 2 critical questions that you need to ask yourself in designing or laying out your website is who are my visitors and who am I? So when you ask this question, who are my visitors, this is gonna help you figure out what kind of content you need to create and what needs to be on your website. And then when you ask yourself, who am I, meaning who is your brand, that's gonna help you figure out how your content should be written, how it should sound, how it should look and feel. Okay, so again, this is determining what you should have, and this is determining how it should be written and how it should come across in a way that's unique to your brand. And definitely when I say don't be cute and don't use poetic language, I'm not saying don't use a voice that's unique to your brand. There's definitely a way that you can have a brand voice that's unique to who you are as a culture, but also in a way that's clear to your audience. And so that's what I mean. Now, when you ask these 2 questions, who are my visitors? Like who's really gonna be visiting my website? Who else would be visiting? So I have a target market. These are the people that I'm definitely targeting, but there's also gonna be other people. So for example, you might have your customers, but you also might have potential vendors or partners or other people that might visit your website. So you gotta contemplate who are the people that are actually gonna be using my website? What do they expect to see on my website? What do they want to see? What do I want to show them and delight them with that they may not have expected? And what actions do I want them to take? I get more in depth in this if you look at the UX design series. I believe it's video 2 or 3. I'll put the link in the description. Definitely take a look at those videos. But those are the questions that you want to ask about your users. Who are they? Who else would visit the site? What do they expect to see? What do they want to see? What do I want them to see that they may not have expected? And what actions do I want them to take? Now, when you contemplate that, this is going to produce for you 4 things that are critical in designing your website. So these are the 2 critical questions. And in answering those questions, you will have these 4 items, right? And the first item is called the requirements list. The requirements list, this again is in detail in the UX design series. In short, it's just a list of everything you know that you need to have on your website. I've given a little short one over here, and I'll go over that in a second, but basically things like we know we need to have a navigation, we know we need to have a couple pictures, we know we need to talk about our products and our services. Those are the things that might be listed in a requirements list. A sitemap, this is just how your website's going to be laid out in a navigation standpoint or from a navigation standpoint. So sitemap is usually like a list of pages. If you're having a 5-page informational website, you might have home, about us, services, our blog, and contact as your pages. But if you have multiple services, let's say your services are real estate services, but you also have services for buyers, services for sellers, maybe you do commercial real estate, those would be child pages to the services page, right? And so you got to kind of make a hierarchy of content, of pages, and that's what your sitemap is. A wireframe is just kind of like a sketch, a visual representation of how that content is going to be laid out. So you've developed a list of content you know you need. You've developed a kind of like a table of contents, a sitemap of how it's going to be displayed on your website. And now this is going to be the visual representation of how that content's laid out. And this is an example of a wireframe that I'll talk about here in a second. And then ultimately you have to produce the content. Again, don't overthink the content. You're always going to be able to add to it, revise it, and again, every website should have a blog. And so if you want to create articles and stuff later on down the road, definitely use the blog for that. But you got to create your initial content. And so the initial content would be things like your welcoming statement, your mission statement, your basic list of features and benefits, your contact information. It doesn't have to be too extensive, especially if it's your first website. And so these are the 2 critical questions. These are the 4 critical items that you need that will be produced from answering these 2 questions. And then if you go over here, there's really no rules, I guess, in website design. There's some industry standards, but standards are always changing. Okay, but these right here are what I would call industry standard elements that I think every home page should have. Right, so I've given you down here a list of 5 pages that basically there's 2 options. You can either start with a single page layout or a 5-page website. Several years ago, I think the most common thing to start with was a 5-page website. But nowadays, a lot of times you'll see professional companies, they have a single page layout because all the information they want to display could be displayed on one page. It's up to you how you want to do that. If you do a single page layout, this could work. If you do a 5-page layout or a 5-page website, this could work for the home page. And so again, if you're doing 5 pages, the pages are typically home, which could be laid out like this. About us, which would be information about your background with the company, maybe how long you've been in the industry, what your point of differentiation is, what maybe your process is, and things like that. Now what we do, this is a little bit different because this is your services or your products. And so this is where you're going to be talking more about features and benefits of what you actually do. Your blog is going to be where you list all the other information that probably won't fit on this. So you can have a frequently asked questions section, or you can have any kind of information or articles that you want to put on your blog. You don't have to call it a blog. You could call it info center. You could call it resources. On ours currently, we're calling it the feed. Call it whatever. It's just a place where you could put all the information that doesn't really make sense to go on any of these other pages, but it's specific to your business or your industry. And then a contact page. Again, this is if you choose to do a 5-page layout. But if not, you can likely fit everything on a single page layout, and a lot of companies are doing that. So I'm not going to go into the design or to the layout of every single one of these pages. I'm just going to go into a general layout for a single page layout. But again, this could be the home page if you're doing a 5-pager. Industry standard elements, these are just some common things. This isn't a rule. These are just some common things that you should have, in my opinion, to have a professional website layout. Brand identification, so some identifying mark, obviously that should be your logo. Navigation, it should be clear. In the header, one of the worst things is looking at is a header that has too many menu items. In my rule of thumb, I try to have no more than 7. Try to keep it around 5, but 5 to 7 menu items in the main navigation. You can always have drop downs or other forms of navigation, but you don't want people to be distracted by too many options. And so have brand identification, your navigation, a clear tagline. Again, don't be cute. Visual engagement, so images or video that connect your audience with who you are and what you do so they get a feel for your brand. A welcome message. Social proof. Social proof is basically you not tooting your own horn. It's other people saying that you're awesome, not you saying that you're awesome. So this could be in the form of testimonials. It could be a video testimonial. It could also be brands that have taken advantage of your services. This could be professional social proof, basically saying that we're not just fly by night and nobody's ever used our products or services before. We have the backing or the endorsement of these other people. So that's what social proof is. Contact information and a call to action. So again, these are just some industry standard elements. This is kind of like a requirements list. So over here, if you're asking these 2 critical questions, who are my visitors and who am I? You come up with your requirements list. Here's your sitemap, and then here's the wireframe. The wireframe is like, okay, a lot of times we'll have the logo in the top left. This is just a very common layout for having the brand identifying mark. Your navigation to the right of that. You have a big image area. A couple years ago, everybody was doing sliders, and a lot of people are still wanting to do sliders, meaning having an image and a tagline or something like that, and then it slides to another one. If you're looking at trends for 2017, people are doing away with sliders, and they're either having just a static image in the background, or a lot of people are using video background now, which is a really cool element. And the reason why, there's a few reasons. One is sliders are kind of distracting because it's too much. And the other reason, remember, 55% of people are looking at your website for only 15 seconds. If you have a slider, the amount of time that someone needs to register what is on that slider is about 7 seconds. So if you have a slide, first slide 7 seconds, the other slide is another 7 seconds, that's 14 seconds. And however many slides you have, more than likely nobody's gonna look at all that content. It's gonna be distracting. So most people have done away with that, and they're using just a static image or a video background with a clear tagline, and maybe an image background right here. Welcome message. So I have my brand identification, I have my navigation, I have my clear tagline, I have my visual engagement because I have a background image that connects our users to what we do. I also have visual engagement here, maybe showing a picture of the types of users that we serve. And so over here, our tagline is awesome widgets for busy moms, right? So they know exactly who it's for and what we do. A headline, which would be like a welcome message showing a little bit about our company, maybe a list of some of the features and benefits that we offer with our brand. Social proof, don't take our word for it, and you might have a carousel of a couple of different testimonials. You might have a video testimonial, you might have logos of brands that have taken advantage of your services, etc. Contact info and your call to action. Do it now, take advantage of it, or whatever you want to say. And then at the bottom, you can have another brand identifier mark and your copyright information. This is perfectly fine to have for a professional looking website, even if you just have the single page. But again, if you have multiple pages, that's where people can link out. And a lot of times if you have a single page layout, like for example, the About Us, they'll have a scroll feature to where you click it and it just scrolls to that section, and you can have full page sections. That's also another cool feature. That's about it. I definitely want to hear your feedback. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. And if it wasn't, if you thought it sucked, or maybe we were missing some information that you'd like to hear, definitely comment below. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and please share this information. Let us know what you think. There's a link in the description below. I'm giving you guys a free resource, which is a PSD and a JPEG for a website layout, a standard single page website layout. Talk to you guys soon. See you next time. All right, guys, I told you I was going to share with you a couple of resources that my design fulfillment team uses to design websites. A lot of the websites we build are in WordPress. WordPress is an awesome CMS. It's user-friendly, it's search engine friendly, it's responsive, it's a really great platform to use, and so we definitely recommend WordPress if you're getting started. The other cool part about it is it's a blogging platform. So again, in this video I talked about every website should have a blog. Well, WordPress is a blogging platform. So if you build your website in WordPress, it already has a blog built into it. And so that's one of the reasons why we use WordPress. Another thing we use is Envato. The Envato market is really awesome. You could get professional looking themes from Theme Forest. Envato is really a market for creatives, and so they sell things like themes and graphics and things like that. So themeforest.net is where they sell WordPress themes, and so that's a really great resource that we use. You can actually click on the link in the description below to our Envato market that we have an affiliate account with. Photos. A lot of people, when they send us pictures of websites that they like, they're really beautiful, and the reason why they're beautiful is because of the photos they use. Now, it's always recommended to use your own photos, so hire a photographer. They're not that expensive to get really high quality pictures, and it's more personable, so it's always recommended to use your own photos. But if you need to use stock photos, there's some great resources out there, and the way we do it is we start with free, then we go to cheap, and then we go to premium. And so if we could find a great photo for free, we use sites like Pexels, Pexels.com, Pixabay.com, and Unsplash.com. Again, links are in the resource, links are in the...
I don't think Unsplash is a .com, is it?
I don't know.
I think it's a dot something else.
Manny doesn't think Unsplash is a .com. We're gonna give you the right link in the description below. So those are the free ones. Wildtextures.com. That's a really cool resource if you want to have like different like patterns, wood, brick, natural dirt. They have all these cool different background patterns. That's another free one. Now, if we can't find anything in the free, then we go to the kind of the cheap, and that's things like Graphic Stock and Photodune.net. Photodune.net, I don't know if they're the .coms or the .nets, guys, so just look in the description below. And then if we can't find anything there, then we'll go to Shutterstock, and Shutterstock pretty much has everything we need. And so we use Shutterstock a lot. Another resource that we use, I have no idea how Graphic Burger makes money, but they do somehow, and I'm not even going to ask them. But Graphic Burger is a great resource for creatives. They have things like mock-ups, they have different fonts, they have icons, and all kinds of cool tools that you can use. So Graphic Burger is awesome. GraphicRiver.net is an awesome website for the same type of stuff, and Creative Market. So those are the three websites that we use. So hopefully that helps you guys. If there's other stuff that maybe you feel is better, definitely shoot us a note in the comments section. I want to hear what you guys are using.